Is our military too big? Is it too expensive? In 2023, we spent $916 billion on our military, and the next closest was China at $296 billion. Our military spending is larger than the following 10 countries combined. This chunk of money comprises 1/7 of the federal budget and 60% of our discretionary spending budget. In this video, I'll illustrate the pros and cons of the current size of the U.S. military, which should give you enough information to decide whether our military budget needs to be trimmed or expanded. You're watching Reengineering Politics, which provides objective information on political matters so that you can make informed decisions for a better America. If you want to see more videos like this one, please like, share, and subscribe. The one thing Democrats and Republicans seem to agree on is military spending. The most recent bill adding military funding for Ukraine, Israel, and other military actions received 80% support in Congress. The United States spends more on its military than the following 10 countries combined. You've heard this many times, and I just restated it twice. There's a reason for this statistic. General Cameron Holt stated that the United States spends $20 for every $1 spent by China for the same result. This high cost has multiple reasons. Now, military costs are based on three primary items: equipment, personnel, and energy. The military is required to purchase items manufactured in the United States, made in America, right? This makes sense, as we don't want to rely on foreign-made weapons if we fight the country making those weapons. Now, as you may have guessed, American-made products are more expensive. A good example is cars. So in China, a Chinese-made car costs between $10,000 and $20,000, while a comparable American car costs close to $50,000. The United States military procurement system is another problem. Due to the secrecy and complexity of one-time, very large, sole-source purchases from monopolistic defense contractors, the United States pays a high premium for limited competition. A Chinese soldier will be paid 1/16 of the pay of a U.S. soldier of the same rank. This is why China has 2,035,000 active duty personnel and 510,000 reservists in its military, while the United States has only 1.3 million active duty personnel and approximately 800,000 reservists. We pay top dollar for energy. Tanks, fighter jets, large transportation aircraft, and ships burn a lot of fuel. This fuel is made from crude oil found in allied and enemy countries alike. Russia, Iran, and Venezuela are gigantic sources of oil and natural gas. While we may sanction such sources and such countries, China has no problem paying bottom dollar for fuel from our enemies. Considering these cost differences, China is actually investing more in its military than we are. If you'd like to learn more about how the United States is paying much more than others for its weapon systems, I recommend watching a YouTube video by Geopolitico entitled "Why the United States Military Budget is the Highest in the World." I've left a link to this video in the description below. So we spend a lot. Maybe it's worth it. What do we get for our investment in our military? Here are some charts that I've captured from another YouTube video published 3 years ago by Need for Knowledge entitled "How Strong is the United States Military and Why is the United States Military the Strongest?" There's a link to this video in the description below. The United States fighting force ranks third in the world. The United States dominates in air superiority with 13,264 aircraft, with the next closest being Russia. The United States has more aircraft carriers than any other country by far to transport its large inventory of aircraft to any conflict around the world. Our inventory of naval destroyers is just as impressive. We rank third in number of submarines behind North Korea and China. In fact, the United States ranks fourth in total naval assets behind Russia, China, and North Korea. Now, when it comes to tanks, the United States is a distant second place to Russia. The United States military reach is far superior to any in the world. The Pentagon has identified 600 military bases overseas. Now, the exact number of bases abroad is classified, but it is estimated that the United States has 1,000 active military installations in over 150 countries worldwide. Now, all of these numbers miss two of the greatest factors that give the United States an advantage over any other fighting force in the world. The first is our professional fighting force, and the second is the will to fight. Now, one reason that the United States military is so expensive is that a professional airman, marine, sailor, or soldier costs more money and is more highly trained and is more experienced than the young men and women conscripted to fight in other countries. The will to fight is the greatest advantage of the United States fighter. This individual has lived in the U.S. and has some appreciation for how special our freedoms are compared to other countries. If you give your life for something, you want to ensure that that something is worth it, right? This means that the American fighting men and women believe that the battles that they engage in are worth winning and that they are on the side of the morally right versus the morally wrong. While we spend a lot on our military compared with others, the price tag could be much higher. Previous world powers attempted to acquire land through a type of imperialism, and the United States actually did this for a time. However, our approach to world control is building allies and maintaining a military presence that can support those allies should they need support to fight their military enemies. This system of cooperative allies is less expensive than occupying nations like the British or the Romans who preceded us. You should have enough information to decide whether or not we're getting a good value for our military dollar. Military spending is one thing. The purpose of war is a very different question. We pay a very high price in treasure and the lives of our service members to wage war. In my next video, I plan to discuss why we fight and explore alternatives to war. Thank you for visiting Reengineering Politics. Please subscribe to my channel to get notified when I publish new videos. We discuss political challenges like this one in our Facebook group. If you're an open-minded and civil individual who wants to learn more about politics, please join us. I've left a link to this group in the description below. If you want to explore political issues more deeply than you can in weekly videos, I highly recommend my book, Engineering Unity, A Path to Resolving Political Polarization in the United States. Each chapter highlights contentious topics presenting the positions of the left and the right and a viable compromise between the two. Thanks for watching, and I hope you return for more political insight that's neither left nor right.